Wilson Miles from Black Women TV. How's it going, folks?
Good.
So, Melissa, coming into this, obviously everybody has their stories to how to play the role, but how did you want to play it to make it your own?
You know, with a lot of love for the original and for Pat Carroll, who's incredible, but then I knew I had to kind of like put that aside and really start to dissect her as I would any other character, even though I came with so much, not baggage, but so much like, I already had so many feelings for her because I've watched this movie so many times. But, you know, you start to dissect her and think about, you know, what makes her funny, what makes her vicious, what makes her, you know, what about her loneliness, what about her isolation from her family and her kind of being ostracized, her mental health. And then all of a sudden she kind of, you know, when the 3D version of Ursula kind of started to appear to me, like sometimes it seems to answer a lot of those questions. I kind of know how she sounds. I know where she kind of lays back and when she attacks. So, you know, I spent a lot of time thinking about her. That's for sure.
I can't say we've all seen the film. We all know of the film. We all know the story. For you, Javier, you know, did you have to go back to remember what it was like, or do you just go with what the script called for now?
I watched the movie before being offered the movie, of course, but once I was offered the movie, I watched it just once again, and with a very distant eye on it, because I know that I'm going to be affected by what other people have done so beautifully. So I just look at it and say, okay, now I'm going to try to follow what is in the script and the directions of Rob and John and bring my own taste into it, because there's nothing else I can do rather than bringing my own self into it.
Do you know how many daughters the king had? You know, I lost track when I was trying to count.
7.
7 daughters.
Yeah,
you know?
like the 7 Seas.
And so when it came for the musical number, Melissa, you know, how many takes does it take before you said, okay, I got this?
Many. You know, we recorded the music. I worked for months and months and months on just trying to be prepared to do the recording for it, because again, I'm not a natural singer, so I worked very hard on that. Worked through my nerves. Then we recorded in London with an orchestra that was pretty amazing. Rob actually had me come out of the room and he said, I think you need to stand with the orchestra and sing. And I was like, no, I don't need to do that. I don't need to stand in front of 200 professional, amazing musicians and try to sing. And he's like, I think you do. It's a once in a lifetime thing. And to feel those instruments they just vibrated through my entire body. And it really was an amazing experience. And it also, like, they play with such abandonment that I was like, I felt like I could really let her rip. But I mean, it was so fun, and I was so crushed when it was over, because I was like, I don't get to keep doing this. And he's like, it's all done. I was like, no. So many months spent being nervous, and then an incredibly fun day in the doing.
Yeah. And then obviously last night was the premiere. So how much fun was it? Because sometimes when you do these movies, you don't get to see everybody. You know, so how much fun was it last night when you get to talk to everybody now, as opposed to like when you're going in there, you're doing your job, you do your scenes, and then you get out?
Well, it's a labor of love. I mean, everybody that has made this movie has put a lot of love into it, and you can tell that it's a love story. It's a love story between a woman and a young woman and a young man, but also of a father and daughter, and the people around has put a lot of love into it, and you can see it on screen. And it was very nice to share that with all the cast that you haven't seen together since the first day of rehearsal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And before I let you go, Melissa, did you give yourself a backstory? So why is there an animosity between the two characters that each of you are playing?
Well, I think something that Rob and John did that was so, I thought, a small thing, but it changed, I think, the story and certainly our trajectory quite a bit, was making us siblings. And having this long history of family, and that the fighting in family that can be so contentious and so deep rooted, and suddenly instead of just adversaries and good and evil, it suddenly became, why did you isolate your sister? Why was I thrown out of the family? I thought about that Ursula didn't have a chance to have kids, and did she want kids? And she's been in isolation and alone, and all that resentment, and probably not the best mental health from that kind of isolation. I thought all of that and just forming all of that revenge kind of on the people that you at one point loved. I thought, my God, that's Shakespearean and dark and kind of so much to think about that. All of a sudden I was like, boy, that's delicious backstory for me.
I enjoyed the film. Obviously, it's years later, but I don't remember seeing it back then, because it was so long ago. But I remember this one, because it's something new, it's something fresh. Congrats on the roles. We'll talk down the road.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Wilson Morales, Black Film TV. How's it going, guys?
How you doing, man?
David, you're always working. Everything you do is something totally different.
We out here, man.
I'm going to get to it right now. What makes you say yes to the projects you take?
Oh man, I mostly people. I love working with great people, and with this one, I had such a fun audition with Rob. Like by the time I left that room, I went in. When they told me they wanted me to come in and read for this, I was like, they don't. There's no way they want me to play Sebastian. That doesn't make any sense. Like they're not gonna. But I'll go in. And then I had the most fun hour I've had in so long. And by the time I left that room, I was like, it's a shame they definitely don't want me to do this because now I really want to do it. So when they called me, it was a no-brainer. And then as I started hearing who else was associated with it, me and Jacob had worked together before on Wonder, and I've been a fan of Awkwafina from her like rap music days, and just like Halle, that I wasn't even prepared for how amazing she is. I was already a fan of her, but like there aren't enough words. Javier, like everybody associated this thing was just, proving the decision right over and over again. Like, oh man, just the best people.
And then Jacob, obviously, as you mentioned, David just mentioned, you guys have worked together before.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys did your scenes together, because I know how they do animated films. But what was it like coming in and playing Flounder?
It was really cool, and obviously I was very nervous, but yeah, we were actually able to do not only a lot of rehearsal together, but we were able to record the scenes together.
Yeah.
But just working with David, it was really nice, and Awkwafina was there too, and being able to do the scenes with Halle as well, because she was reading her lines when we were recording, and Rob was there, and he was amazing to work with. It just made for such a great recording experience.
About the music, David, obviously, we all know you can sing, but coming on this, everything is always different. So talk to me about coming in here and obviously singing those songs.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I was terrified at first, and then as soon as we started working on them, and it was just such a great environment to work in. And Alan Menken is such a cool dude, and was so excited. He comes in with such energy and like so ready to play with these like totally iconic songs, but really willing to like find new voicings for them, find interesting. He's so excited by interesting musical choices, And so yeah, it just felt like playing. And then eventually they'd like started recording, but we were still playing the whole time,
Jacob, do you remember the original, or is this something new for you? People like to say they remember the original, but sometimes people don't, depending on their age. Is this something new for you?
No, I don't remember not really knowing this film, just because I had probably been showing it at such a young age, and then having it always play on replay throughout a large part of my childhood. It just, all the songs are just so memorable, so just having that in my mind when making the new one was really, really cool. And it's really very exciting when something very, very, I guess, like very prominent in your childhood, you get to be a part of a recreation of that. It's very, very fun.
And the same question goes to you, David. Obviously, when there's a new cast, maybe a song or two that's new, does it take on a new meaning for those who are coming into it? Or is it still the same, even though you've added some new additions and it's different because it's live action?
Yeah, I think this one being live action and some of the really smart, although like subtle changes that were made, and also just the nature of who Halle is and who all of the actors are in this, like does like highlight some things more, or I guess differently than how I remember the original. I think the father-daughter relationship in this one is so special, and yeah, and just the sort of final moments of King Triton really letting Ariel go is like such a beautiful thing, and I just, yeah, I mean, it was I'm still like having trouble putting it into words. I saw it last night for the first time at the premiere, so like it was such an emotional experience for me, you know. So yeah, it's just a beautiful movie.
And then obviously working with Lynn again, you know, if people always want to see a collaboration every now and then. But what's it like, obviously coming back and just being at the premiere last night and seeing everybody all together at once?
Yeah, it was great. Like the last time we were all together was when we were recording the thing, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it was actually. And there was like, we were doing something together at like a round table, and it was like our first time talking to each other.
Yeah.
And with this, the conversation just went on for so long. We didn't want it to end because we just had so much to say.
Yeah, I think they only got to ask one question.
Yeah.
And we just kept
We just kept
talking.
talking.
Yeah.
But it was perfect.
And then, you know, just the fun of playing the craft. You know, it's you know, you had a lot there. You know, you definitely stood out. You know, it's
Well,
like, do you know that you stood out more than, you know, than probably the original, because people remember it. But hey, you guys had a lot of fun here. You know, it's a great new rendition, you know, and I'm sure a lot of people will go check it out. So congratulations.
Thank you, man.
Take care.
Appreciate you.
Bye.
Hi.
Wilson Morales from Black for Me TV. Hello, Mr. Menken. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
So what's that feeling like when you know they're going to come back and do a live action film of one of the movies you've already created music for, and you have to come back and create new songs, but you don't know how it's going to be placed in until you have the big meeting?
It's exciting to me. It's just a world of possibility opens up, and I'm curious to see, you know, what will come. Because I know that in my process, if I write a song and it's not the right song, I'll write another one and another one and another one until I get it right. And I'm already ahead of the game because I know the musical palette that I'm going into. I know the storyline. I know the other songs that are there, so I know what buttons I don't want to push because I've already pushed them somewhere else in the score. And it's, you know, and then there's the thrill of collaborating with a new collaborator, new lyricist in this case, with Lin-Manuel Miranda, which is incredible.
Was there a point was there any music that you had created from back then that didn't make the cut that you could have used now? Or is it just something totally new?
Well, actually, okay, so you seen the movie?
Yes.
Okay, so I took a little piece of a theme, a variation of a theme from the original movie. In a triple form, and Lynn said, "That's great, but could we maybe give it a 2 against a 3?" So. And that rub, so I used it, but we changed it. And yeah, I try to, I don't waste threads, and I also want to recycle threads. So I am it's always very much a part of, you know, like a painter, keeping my palette of colors.
Eons ago, I used to have a radio show, part of a radio show called Soundtrack. And me and my partner, we would trade soundtracks like baseball cards. And we'd play games with each other. It's like, oh, name that tune, and you have to name the composer, because I always say composers always have a signature style at some point or another, the more music they create. So sooner or later, if you hear his tune, you can kind of get an idea as to who is it. You know, so but when you're creating a movie like this, and you have the song for David Diggs, and you have Lynn's rap music on it.
Yeah.
Was that something new for you?
Yeah,
Rap?
Yeah, I mean, pretty new. I mean, I've written some songs that involve rap, but as you probably could guess, I'm not a rap artist. But what I did, like, I gave Lynn a lilting Caribbean tune, piece of music, and he rapped over it. I didn't even know he was going to do that. It was just like, oh my God, brilliant! It was just. He kind of used what I gave him as found art underneath this rap, and it's delightful.
I wasn't working with Halle and Melissa. Halle's a singer, Melissa's not, but they're singing these songs that you're creating.
I keep my distance for their sake, and I have my somebody in my music team, do the plunking out of the notes and the teaching and the working with them and letting them find their key or letting them find their style and all that. and then if I give notes at all, I'm going to give it through them because I want to make sure they get one clear path to the communication so they don't make them crazy. And also, it can be intimidating for singers to have the composer in the room. And what I don't want to do is impede their freedom. The worst situation for me is when someone says, "Oh no, I saw you could just don't sing that note, just kind of half speak it. It's better." And they go, "No, you wrote that note. I want to sing that note." I go, "No, I want people to take liberties." So I think they're more comfortable taking liberties when I'm not there. If they go too far, I'll let them know. But yeah.
And then just to wrap it up, putting these things together, what was left out that you can probably use at another film at some other point?
A song that for Triton that Javier Bardem sang, that we recorded and we filmed, called "Impossible Child."
I'll look for the DVD when they have.
Oh wait, you'll see it. There's an outtake, and it's also the song itself. I think will be on the streaming version of the soundtrack, so you can hear that too.
Mr. Menken, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Have
Thank
yourself
you.
a great. Good to see you back.
Thank you.